This story is called The Conductor. The year is 2222, 200 years after a catastrophe had wiped out 6 billion human lives. This catastrophe, known as the first infestation, has left all 7 continents and nearly every country throughout the world in ruin and decay. Only one country remains standing, the United States. And even then, it's on weakened legs. Its only massive land, the eastern seaboard. America is in the midst of the second infestation as mysterious capsules have crash-landed from space, transforming human beings into mindless, cannibalistic killing machines. The world is dying. With the nation in turmoil, their last hope relies on the warrior. This massive war machine can house over 1,000 people and fire over a dozen nuclear weapons at the same time. Once launched, it will travel through space, destroy the source of the infestation, and return home to rebuild its nation. One man has been a part of this operation since day one. That man is Edward Jones, a middle-aged train conductor who currently resides in Staten Island with his estranged daughter, Tiffany. Jones uses the military train to travel to abandoned stations, rescue survivors, and transport confidential goods and top-secret cargo to cities throughout the Northeast. Right before Edward departs for work, he goes up to Tiffany's bedroom door to say goodbye, but no response. Tiffany looks out the window. She wonders about the future of the world and the future of her life. Edward takes his train down to the Barclays Center where he meets with the Vice President of the United States, Harry Reeves, who informs him that time is running out. His last assignment is to escort Dr. Alan Hunter, the creator of the Warrior, to Washington, D.C. Edward, along with the scientists, return to the station and board the train. They set out for D.C. Along the way, they encounter many monsters and many castles throughout the countryside. At one point, Edward spots a man wearing a top hat, a leather jacket, and carrying a double-barrel shotgun surveying the scene, only to look at Edward. Edward blinks, and the man disappears. Edward and Alan have made it to the D.C., which is enclosed behind a giant steel wall covered in graffiti and with gun turret towers on each corner. As they approach the tunnel, they see a giant graffiti sign that says, "If you read this sign, you're in danger." As Edward's train slowly arrives at the station, Edward looks out to see what seems to be the foot of a giant robot. Edward and Alan are then greeted by men in black. Alan recognizes them as agents for the president, and together they leave for a nearby car. They stop in front of a 50-story skyscraper and get out of the car to enter it. They take the elevator up, and outside they see a gigantic humanoid-like contraption that seems to be near construction, with a U.S. flag painted on its head. This is the Warrior, humanity's last great hope. The elevator finally reaches the top floor. They exit to see the White House a few hundred feet away. As they're about to enter, Edward is shocked to see the same man with a top hat and leather jacket being escorted out by security guards. More shocking, they are greeted by the Vice President, and he leads them inside the President's office. This begs the question, how did he get there so quickly and right before them? Hours later, Edward looks on from the station as the Warrior finally launches into space. Still confused about the situation, he nevertheless decides to take the train home. Closer to his destination, Edward overhears noise in the cargo truck. He walks inside to see the man with the top hat, leather jacket, double-barrel shotgun, and more strangely, white, retinaless eyes. The top man reveals to Edward that the infestation that has transformed human beings into monstrosities is not a virus, but in fact a medicine made to make people stronger, smarter, and more resilient to viruses and diseases. Those who cannot handle this medicine inevitably become a statistic. He gives him cryptic clues about something extraordinary about to happen when, bam, the ground tremors, the train goes off the rails and crashes into a steep hill. Edward is knocked out cold. Edward comes to and surveys the damage. The Hat Man is gone. The train is destroyed. He moves on by foot. Edward treks with only his pistol in hand. He kills a few infected along the way. Out of nowhere, he sees what looks like a giant arm made of steel, laying flat, with slashes, dents, and wires being ripped out. It looks eerily familiar. As he walks further on, he sees some kind of structure which, for whatever reason, shares the same visual aesthetic as the arm, except this one had a huge hole on the upper right corner and an odorous smell akin to gunpowder. Edward walks past this contraption and sees a decapitated head with the U.S. flag painted on its head. It's the warrior. Something or someone shot it down. An anxiety-filled Edward moves quicker when all of a sudden he runs right into one of those capsules. He coughs violently and covers his mouth until he stops coughing. When he looks at his hand, he sees blood, except this blood is colored black. Edward begins to panic and runs forward, dropping his pistol along the way. He sees what looks like his hometown. It is. Realizing that, he frantically runs towards it, while coughing so much black substance out of his mouth to the point that he starts drooling. Nothing has changed, and yet for whatever reason it feels different. The inhabitants are in a jolly mood, yet it's a jolly mood that feels hollow, devoid of warmth. Edward passes a large crowd of people gathered by a podium. A lecturer on the podium giving a speech about creating a space portal that will enable all people to travel back and forth from the black hole and rebuild a society here on Earth that they have been planning for over 200 years. Edward inadvertently bumps into somebody, and he is shocked to see his eyes as white as the Hat Man. He turns around, and everybody around him has the same white eyes, the same white, retinaless, emotionless eyes. He gets on his knees, throwing up the black substance, and is in such confusion, such disorientation, that he suddenly gets up, pushes everybody out of the way, and runs towards his home. Edward is finally home. He runs up to his daughter's bedroom, but nobody is there. Edward begins to convulse. His skin starts to decay. His teeth start to fall out. His bones start to deteriorate to the point that he can no longer stand. As he struggles on the ground, he sees a man's boot walking towards him. He stares up to see the Top Hat Man, carrying his shotgun on one hand and carrying Tiffany on the other, with her eyes as eerily white as the Top Man's himself. "I will take care of her," says the Top Hat Man. He puts his shotgun on Edward's head. Bang! The screen fades to black. The end.